Hey everyone, and welcome back for another round of Trending Tidbits. Today we're diving into some pretty fascinating research
Yeah.
about at-home brain stimulation as a potential new treatment
Wow.
for depression.
Yeah.
So imagine treating depression
Yeah.
from the comfort of your own couch.
Right.
Pretty mind-blowing, right? We've got a
Yeah.
whole stack of research articles, scientific publications,
Wow.
and news reports about a clinical trial
Yeah.
for something called transcranial direct current stimulation,
Oh,
or tDCS for short.
what's really captivating here is this idea that we could have brain stimulation therapy as accessible as like managing your blood pressure at home.
It's a total game changer. All
Yeah.
of our sources are really buzzing about the potential of this.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly is tDCS? From what I've read,
Yeah.
it involves applying a very weak electrical current to specific areas of the brain. You wear a headset with
Oh,
electrodes that deliver this current to the scalp.
yeah, you've got it. And the current is super mild. It's
Yeah.
about 1,000 times weaker than what you'd find in an LED bulb.
Wow.
So it's considered non-invasive and safe.
Okay.
And while tDCS has been used in clinics for a while,
Right.
the really exciting part is that this research looked at its effectiveness as an at-home treatment
Yeah.
for depression.
Yeah, that's what caught my eye too. This clinical trial
Mm-hmm.
that we're looking at
Mm-hmm.
involved adults with moderate to severe depression.
Right.
And they were randomly assigned to either receive active tDCS
Okay.
or a placebo treatment.
And here's the kicker. They did all of this from home.
Oh, wow.
The participants used the device for 30 minutes a day,
Okay.
and the frequency of sessions was adjusted over the 10-week trial.
So did it actually work? What were the results?
The results were pretty impressive.
Okay.
People who received the real tDCS treatment were 3 times more likely to see their depression go into remission
Wow.
compared to those in the placebo group. Almost 45% of the participants using active tDCS achieved remission, while only about 22% in the placebo group did.
3 times more likely to experience remission. That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
What does this mean for people struggling with depression right now?
Well, it's a significant step forward.
Okay.
And while at home, tDCS still needs to go through regulatory processes.
Right.
The study suggests it could be a safe and effective alternative,
Hmm.
especially for those who don't respond well to traditional treatments like medication or therapy.
It's amazing to think that people might have access to this kind of treatment in their own homes.
Right.
This could truly change the landscape of mental health care.
Absolutely. One of the most significant implications is the potential to increase access
Yeah.
to mental health care and make it more affordable.
Hmm.
At home, tDCS could remove the need for frequent and often costly trips to a clinic,
Right.
which can be a major obstacle for some people.
Especially for those who live in rural areas,
Yeah.
have limited transportation options,
Yeah.
or face other barriers to access traditional care.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the research also highlighted that at-home PDCS, when used correctly,
Yeah.
seemed to be well tolerated. There were some reports of mild side effects,
Okay.
mainly some skin irritation where the electrodes were placed,
Okay.
but nothing serious.
That's reassuring to hear. But like with any new technology,
Yeah,
we need to consider both the benefits and potential challenges.
you're right. While the benefits are substantial,
Okay.
responsible and ethical use is paramount.
Yeah.
One thing that jumps out at me is the potential for misuse
Mm-hmm.
if the technology becomes widely available without proper safeguards and education.
Yeah.
tDCS, like any medical treatment, should be used under the guidance of a healthcare professional.
We wouldn't want people experimenting with brain stimulation without proper understanding or supervision.
Right.
So what are some of the other challenges or ethical considerations surrounding at-home tDCS that we should be thinking about?
Well, we need to consider the long-term impact. While this clinical trial focused on a 10-week period,
Right.
more research is needed to understand if the positive effects last beyond that time frame. It's still a relatively new approach,
Mm-hmm.
and more data is needed to fully understand its long-term effects.
It's all very promising, though, right?
It is.
What stands out to you from all of this research?
Well, what fascinates me is how the entire clinical trial was conducted remotely.
Oh, wow.
Participants received the tDCS device and instructions,
Okay.
and all communication with researchers took place through video calls.
That's a real testament to the power of technology in making healthcare more accessible.
Yeah.
It also highlights the need for clear instructions and user-friendly technology. Did the research mention anything about how easy it was for participants to use the device at home on their own?
Absolutely.
Okay.
One article mentioned that researchers used video calls not only to track the participants' progress, but also to guide them in placing the electrodes correctly. They even used augmented reality through the device's camera to demonstrate proper usage.
It's like having a virtual therapist guiding you every step of the way. That's incredible.
Yeah,
So they were able to get the same level of care and support as they would in a clinical setting.
exactly. And this remote supervision is particularly crucial during the early stages of treatment.
Yeah.
Not only does it help ensure the device is used safe and correctly,
Right.
but it also provides reassurance and support,
Yeah.
which can be so important for people dealing with depression.
It sounds like they really went above and beyond to make the process smooth and easy to follow.
Yeah, and the research paper highlighted that this remote approach didn't seem to impact the effectiveness of the treatment. The positive outcomes seen in the group using active tDCS
Okay.
indicate that at-home use with proper guidance and supervision can be just as effective as in-clinic treatments.
That's fantastic news. It means that this technology has the potential to reach so many more people who might otherwise face barriers to getting help. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it could be a game changer.
Okay.
It has the potential to truly expand access to care and empower people to take control of their mental health.
We've been focusing on the potential benefits, but it's important to acknowledge that no treatment is perfect. Were there any drawbacks or areas that need more research that were mentioned in the sources?
You raise a good point. While the findings are encouraging, the research does acknowledge limitations.
Okay.
For instance, the study didn't include people with what's called treatment-resistant depression.
Okay.
That means people who haven't responded to at least 2 different antidepressant medications.
So it's not a guaranteed solution for everyone,
Right.
especially for those who've already tried other treatments without success. Does that mean more research is needed
Yeah.
to explore its effectiveness for treatment-resistant depression?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Another factor is that the trial only lasted 10 weeks.
So we don't know for sure how long the benefits of at-home tDCS might last.
Precisely.
Like-
While the study found significant improvements within those 10 weeks,
Right.
we need longer-term studies to see if those positive effects are sustainable.
It makes sense that we need a clearer picture of the long-term efficacy and any potential side effects before widespread adoption.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And while the study found at-home tDCS to be safe and well-tolerated in the short term, with mostly mild side effects,
Yeah.
ongoing research is needed to fully understand the long-term safety profile,
Right.
like with any medical intervention.
Yeah.
Carefully weighing the potential benefits against the risks, especially when it comes to long-term use,
Right.
is essential.
It sounds like there's still a lot to learn, but based on what we've seen in these sources, the initial results are very encouraging.
They certainly are.
Yeah.
One area that needs further exploration is understanding how individual differences
Okay.
might affect how well at-home PDCS work.
You're referring to things like differences in brain anatomy,
Yeah.
genetics, or even lifestyle factors.
Exactly. Those factors can influence how someone responds to treatment.
Okay.
It's possible that at-home tDCS might be more effective for some people than others, and this suggests we might need more personalized approaches in the future.
Tailoring the treatment to each person's unique needs and characteristics, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
It seems like personalization is the future of medicine.
It really does. The research also highlighted the importance of the at-home environment itself.
Okay.
And how that might impact the effectiveness of tDCS, for example. Is a supportive and stable environment linked to better outcomes?
Right.
These are all avenues for further research.
So while at home, tDCS offers incredible convenience and accessibility, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
Its success depends on a complex interplay of individual factors, environment, and proper guidance.
That's right. Healthcare isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Even with promising technologies like at-home tDCS, individual differences and external factors play a significant role.
It underscores that the human element remains crucial in achieving positive health outcomes,
Right.
even with the most advanced technology. Finding the right balance between technology and personalized care is key.
Absolutely. And finding that balance is vital as we continue to explore the potential of at-home treatments, like tDCS,
Yeah.
to transform healthcare and give people the tools to manage their health proactively.
It's an exciting time to be witnessing these advancements and envisioning the future of healthcare.
It certainly is. And it's also fascinating to think about the broader implications.
Yeah.
If at-home brain stimulation becomes more commonplace,
Okay.
for example, what ethical considerations might arise from its widespread use?
That's a great question. We've discussed the need for proper guidance and supervision to prevent misuse. But what other ethical dilemmas might we face?
Well, one concern is the potential for tDCS to be used for cognitive enhancement, not just for treating medical conditions.
No.
For instance, could people who aren't ill use this technology to boost their memory or concentration?
That's a fascinating thought, but it could be
Right.
controversial. Using brain stimulation to enhance cognitive abilities in healthy individuals raises a lot of ethical questions
Yeah.
about fairness, accessibility, and unintended consequences. Where do we draw the line between therapy and enhancement?
Precisely. It's a slippery slope.
Right.
How do we ensure equitable access to this technology and prevent it from becoming just another advantage for those with more resources?
It feels like we're stepping into uncharted territory with the potential for incredible benefits and unforeseen challenges.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Another ethical consideration involves the potential impact of at-home tDCS
Okay.
on personal autonomy and privacy. If people are using brain stimulation devices in their homes,
Right.
how do we make sure their data is protected and their choices regarding treatment are respected?
It reminds me of the conversations we're having about data privacy with personalized medicine and wearable health trackers.
Right.
As technology advances, it's important to be aware of the ethical implications and protect individual rights.
We absolutely need to have these discussions and establish clear guidelines for the responsible and ethical use of at-home brain stimulation technology.
Right.
Finding that delicate balance between encouraging innovation and protecting individual well-being and autonomy is crucial.
It's important to remember that these are just some of the ethical considerations to consider.
Yeah.
As at-home brain stimulation technology becomes more widely adopted, as with any powerful tool, we need to be thoughtful and cautious,
Right.
ensuring that its benefits are maximized while minimizing potential risks.
You're absolutely right. Scientific progress and ethical reflection go hand in hand.
Yeah.
It's all about responsible innovation. Now let's dive into the science behind tDCS.
Okay.
From what I gathered from the research paper, the exact way tDCS works is still not fully understood.
Okay.
But there are some dominant theories.
I love getting into the science behind these innovations.
Yeah,
It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing how the magic happens.
Well, the current thinking is that tDCS modulates the activity of neurons in the brain.
Okay.
By applying a weak electrical current, it can either increase or decrease the excitability of neurons,
Okay.
depending on the electrode placement and the direction of the current.
So it's not about directly stimulating neurons to fire,
Right.
but rather about subtly influencing their activity,
Yeah,
making them more or less likely to activate.
that's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Think of it as gently nudging the brain's electrical activity
Mhm.
in a way that can help relieve depressive symptoms.
So are we talking about targeting specific brain regions that we know are involved in mood regulation
Yeah.
when it comes to treating depression?
Exactly. The clinical trial we discussed focused on stimulating the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex,
Okay.
or DLPFC,
DLPFC.
which is a region in the frontal lobes of the brain.
Okay.
It's essentially the brain's control center for emotions, and tDCS seems to help rebalance its activity.
Okay.
The DLPFC plays a crucial role in things like planning, decision-making,
Right.
and regulating emotions.
So by modulating activity in the DLPFC,
Yeah.
tDCS could help restore a healthy balance in the emotional circuits that are disrupted in depression.
That's the idea.
Okay.
And the encouraging results from the clinical trial
Yeah.
suggest that this approach has a lot of potential.
It's remarkable that we can influence brain activity in such a non-invasive and relatively simple way.
It really is.
Are there other areas of the brain that researchers are exploring for tDCS treatment?
While stimulating the DLPFC is common for treating depression,
Okay.
researchers are also looking at the effects of stimulating other brain regions, like the motor cortex
Okay.
or the parietal cortex,
Okay.
to see if they might provide additional benefits.
So it's not just about targeting a single area, but rather about understanding the complex network of brain regions involved in depression
Yeah.
and how tweaking activity in different areas could lead to different outcomes.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the brain's complexity
Right.
and taking a more holistic and nuanced approach to treatment.
It's like we're putting together a giant puzzle one brain region at a time,
Yeah.
to get a clearer picture of how tDCS can be used to alleviate suffering and improve well-being.
I love that analogy. As research continues,
Mm-hmm.
we're likely to discover even more innovative ways to use tDCS
Yeah.
to address a wide range of conditions beyond depression.
It's an exciting time for sure.
Yeah.
But as we celebrate these scientific breakthroughs,
Yeah,
it's important to remember the role of individual effort and self-care in managing mental health.
you're absolutely right. At-home tDCS is promising,
Right.
but it shouldn't be seen as a replacement for therapies or healthy habits.
Mm.
It's about integrating these new tools into a comprehensive approach to mental well-being.
It's not a magic cure,
Right.
but a potential piece of the puzzle
Yeah.
that, when combined with other strategies,
Mm-hmm.
can help people on their journey to recovery and well-being. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's about empowering individuals to take an active role in their mental health,
Yeah.
using all the resources and support systems available to them.
Even with cutting-edge technology,
Right.
a person's commitment to their own well-being remains the most important factor.
I couldn't agree more. Did you find anything in the sources about patient motivation?
I did.
Okay.
And sticking to the treatment plan,
Yeah.
yes, actually. One article mentioned that sticking to the tDCS treatment protocol was crucial for positive outcomes.
Okay.
Participants who consistently used the device as instructed
Right.
were more likely to see significant improvements in their depression.
That makes sense.
And this is true for any treatment, right?
Yeah.
Whether
Yeah.
it's medication, therapy, or using a brain stimulation device.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
It's about making that commitment to yourself and following through,
Right.
even when motivation might be low. This is where the at-home aspect of tDCS could be particularly beneficial.
Because it's more convenient and accessible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Having the treatment readily available in your own home could make it easier to stick with it.
Right.
Removing those barriers of traveling to a clinic or scheduling appointments
Right.
might improve adherence and lead to better outcomes in the long run.
That's a great point.
And it brings us back to one of the key takeaways from all of this research. At home, tDCS has the potential to revolutionize mental health care
Yeah.
by making it more accessible, convenient,
Right.
and hopefully more effective for
Yeah.
more people.
It's a really exciting prospect. But as we've discussed, we need to approach it with a balance of enthusiasm and caution,
Yeah.
responsible innovation, ethical considerations.
And ensuring equitable access and outcomes for everyone are all essential in shaping the future of healthcare.
Well said.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the potential of technology while staying grounded in the principles of ethical practice
Right.
and individualized care.
It's a fascinating journey we're on,
It is.
navigating the constantly evolving world of healthcare and exploring how innovations like at-home tDCS can empower people to live healthier,
Yeah.
happier,
Yeah.
and more fulfilling lives.
It's a journey worth taking.
Absolutely.
One that requires both scientific curiosity and a deep understanding of the complexities of human experience.
And that, my friends, is what Trending Tidbits is all about. Exploring the frontiers of knowledge with curiosity and a critical eye.
Yeah.
Empowering you, the listener, to navigate the world with a more informed and discerning mind. We've covered a lot of ground in part 1 of this episode. Let's take a quick break and come back for part 2, where we'll delve into some of the longer-term implications of at-home brain stimulation
Okay.
and how it might reshape our views on mental health and treatment.
We'll discuss the ethical considerations, the potential impact on society, and how this technology could lead to a more equitable and accessible future for mental health care. It's going to be a fascinating discussion.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's shift gears a bit and think about some of the bigger picture implications of at-home brain stimulation. Like, what happens if it becomes more common?
Okay, so let's fast forward for a second and imagine that treating depression with at-home brain stimulation is just normal, as normal as taking an aspirin for a headache. How could that change things on a big scale?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. One thing that could happen is we could see a major change in how people see mental health. It might even help with the stigma.
Oh, you mean because it's more accessible and private?
Yeah, exactly. And less scary maybe than traditional therapy.
Okay, so people might feel more okay with asking for help sooner. It could kind of become as normal as taking care of any other health problem.
Right.
That could be huge for helping people get the help they need.
Yeah, you're totally right. And it could go beyond just individuals, too. Think
Yeah.
about workplaces, schools, communities. We might see them start to really value mental well-being.
So it's like a more understanding and empathetic society where mental health is important.
Yeah.
But I guess there could be some downsides too, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, even with at-home treatments, there might still be differences in who can access it. Like the cost, having good internet, knowing how to use the technology, that could all create new barriers.
So we have to make sure that at-home brain stimulation doesn't just become something only rich people can get. It's got to be available for everyone if we really want to see a change in mental health care.
Absolutely. We'll need to come up with like some smart policies and stuff to make sure it's affordable, people know about it, and the resources are shared fairly. It doesn't matter what your background is, everyone should have the chance to benefit.
That's a good point. It's easy to get excited about the technology, but we can't forget about the social and economic stuff too. It makes me think about doctors and therapists. Like, what happens to them in a future where people are doing more at-home treatments?
Right, like how does that relationship change?
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe we'll see things become more collaborative, like healthcare professionals would help people figure out their options, tell them the risks and benefits, and check on their progress, but like remotely.
So less about the doctor telling you what to do and more about the patient, like working with a doctor to come up with a plan.
Right, exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've got increased access, less stigma, more patient involvement. What about challenges, though? Did any of the research talk about concerns or like unintended consequences?
Yeah, one thing that always comes up with new technology is misuse. Like if at-home brain stimulation is easy to get, how do we keep people from using it the wrong way or without talking to a doctor?
Right. It's like just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. So education and some smart regulations are going to be important. We need people to understand the risks, how to use it properly, and why they should still be talking to their doctor.
So everyone's got a role to play then. Researchers, people making the policies, doctors, and the public.
Definitely. And it's not just about safety either. There are some ethical questions too.
Oh, like what?
Well, one thing is making sure this technology doesn't just become another thing that only wealthy people can afford. We don't want at-home brain stimulation to make those social and economic inequalities even worse.
We've got to be proactive and push for policies that prioritize affordability and accessibility.
Exactly. And that goes for research too. Clinical trials need to include diverse populations so everyone is represented.
So the science and the technology are beneficial for everyone, not just a select few.
That's the goal. We need to make sure at-home brain stimulation is actually making things better for everyone.
This has been a really interesting conversation about all the possible effects of at-home brain stimulation.
Yeah.
It seems like it really could change how we think about and treat mental health.
For sure. It's a really exciting time to be paying attention to these developments, but like we've been saying, it's important to be realistic too. We've got to be aware of the good and the bad.
Right. Embrace innovation, but be responsible and ethical and make sure everyone has access to the benefits.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Finding that balance is key to making sure at-home brain stimulation helps create a healthier, happier future for everyone. This conversation about at-home brain stimulation has been really fascinating. We've explored the science, the potential benefits, and the importance of implementing it responsibly and fairly. As we wrap up part 2, let's take a moment to appreciate the incredible progress in healthcare and the potential it has to change lives.
And remember that technology can be a great tool, but ultimately it's our choices and actions that determine our well-being. Join us for part 3 as we explore the potential long-term implications of at-home brain stimulation and how it might change our understanding of mental health and treatment. Welcome back to Trending Tidbits. We've been talking about this super interesting new area of at-home brain stimulation and how it could totally change mental health care. It's pretty amazing to think about all the possibilities, but also some of the challenges that come with a powerful technology like this.
It really is like a turning point. We've talked about how at-home brain stimulation could change access to treatment and make people less afraid to talk about mental health. But what about the long term? How might this technology affect how we think about mental health years from now?
Yeah, that's a great question. What are you thinking?
Well, imagine if at-home brain stimulation becomes as normal as taking medicine for a cold. It could really change how we think about mental health problems. People might be more likely to address mental health concerns sooner rather than later.
So instead of waiting until things are really bad, people might start taking care of their mental health earlier on.
Exactly. It's like taking care of your physical health.
Yeah.
Like checking your blood pressure or cholesterol.
Yeah, it could become part of a normal routine, which is pretty cool. But are there any downsides we should be thinking about, like in the long term?
One thing that worries me is that people might start to overuse it or think of it as a quick fix for everything. Mental health is complicated, and brain stimulation is a good tool, but it's not a replacement for therapy or making healthy lifestyle changes or having a good support system.
So it's about using technology wisely, but also remembering to deal with the root causes of mental health issues.
Right. We also have to watch out for companies trying to make money off of this. If at-home brain stimulation is easy to get, some companies might exaggerate what it can do or try to sell it as a cure for everything.
People really need to be careful and do their research, especially when it comes to their health.
Absolutely. It's important to talk to your doctor, do your own research, and don't just believe everything you hear.
That makes me think about the relationship between patients and doctors. If people are treating themselves at home, does that mean doctors are less important?
That's an interesting question. I actually think it might change the role of healthcare professionals, but not make them less important. They might become more like coaches or advisors, helping people figure out the best treatment options and checking in on their progress remotely.
So more like a team effort between the patient and the doctor.
Exactly. And that could actually make healthcare more efficient and less expensive.
It's amazing to think that this technology could change individual lives and the whole healthcare system.
It really shows how much things are changing in mental health care.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into at-home brain stimulation, it's clear that we're just starting to understand what's possible. It's a really exciting time, but we have to be thoughtful about it and make ethical decisions and make sure everyone has access to it.
I completely agree. It's a journey with a lot of potential, but also some challenges.
And that's what makes it so interesting to learn about. Thanks for joining us on Trending Tidbits. We hope this episode got you thinking about the future of mental health care. And until next time, keep those minds open and curious about the world around us.